Hello everybody and welcome to Design Media 1. I'm putting together this tutorial just to introduce you to some of the graphic assets that you're going to be using this semester and get you started on loading them into software. So when you click on the invite that you have in this introductory email that I sent you, you might end up at this screen on Miro. If not, look on your sidebar here and make sure you're in MLA Year 1. So you should be able to see this board, and if you click inside of it, we're going to just take a look at what's there. So you'll see all of the course information, our classes day by day, and then down here we have some tools, assets, and resources. So when you first come to the board, just take a look at the syllabus. You should be able to download it if you want, just by clicking on this download link up here, or you can read through it on Miro itself, and you should be able to see everything there. Also have the schedule up, and then these are the important links for this semester. This is our Zoom link for the class. It's always going to be recorded, every class that we do, and once the class is over, I'm going to post the link to the recording at the top of each day's class. Down here you have my office hours Zoom link. That's by appointment, so if you ever feel like you need to have a session with me, just drop a comment down here like this and say I'd like to join office hours today, and I'll be sure to join the link and see you there. The tutorials playlist, if you follow that, is going to take you onto the YouTube channel, and we already have quite a few videos up, but the ones that I would like you to pay attention to before our first class are just these first three up here, along with the one that I'm doing right now, which I will post as soon as it's ready. So these are just going to tell you how you can prepare for our in-class drawing sessions. And these tutorials go over if you're working in a digital drawing app like Procreate or Autodesk Sketchbook, how to bring in reference images that you can trace over top of. And if you're going to be drawing manually, then you're going to just watch this tutorial here. There's also some other tutorials up, and these are relevant to your first week. So if you have time, you can go ahead and watch them in advance, but you don't have to really worry about those until after you've had your first design studio course. But these are all going to be helpful to you during the first week, and I'll be continuing to post tutorials week by week as it relates to the assignments that you're doing. So if we go down here again, we also have this link to the Graphic Assets Starter Kit. It is quite large. I think it's around 10 gigabytes. So make sure that you are on a computer somewhere where you can download that amount of information. Don't do it on your phone. Maybe you want to do this on campus where you have unlimited internet, or find somewhere where you have unlimited so that you don't burn up all of your internet at home. But this is going to be really helpful, and I'm going to show you how to load some of the assets that are within this. For the first class, I would like you to go over here to the references and links and just select these images, and you can download them to your computer. If you're going to be drawing digitally, then you're going to load them up onto your drawing tablet. If you're going to be drawing manually, you're going to print these out on a letter-sized piece of paper and use some trace paper and pens for our first drawing session in class. I'll explain more about that during our first class intro. So let's go to the Graphic Assets Kit. In CAD-Graphics, I have created a bunch of folders, and one thing you'll notice about my desktop as I work and all of the folder structures is that I'm really a maniac about keeping things organized. If I go to my downloads, I don't have anything there. If you look at my desktop, there's nothing there. I keep things super organized because I do a lot of projects and a lot of work, and file organization is super important to keeping things in place. So I have my folder for Arch 515. Within that, I have a bunch of subfolders. Some of these are not going to be relevant to you, but I would highly recommend coming up with a file structure for yourself that makes sense, where you can store all the information. So I'm going to go into the graphic refs, and within that we have the CAD-Graphics folder. If you've downloaded it, it will come in as a zip file just like this, and you'll right click and go extract. So once you've extracted it, you'll end up with this folder. And the first thing I'd like to do is just kind of walk you through what these are. So in 3D, we have another folder called Rhino. That's going to have a bunch of information that's relevant to Rhino 3D, which we're going to go through in a minute. In CAD, the only folder in there is blocks. You're not going to be working in AutoCAD specifically, but I thought I would include these just so that you have a bunch of AutoCAD blocks for when you do start drafting in CAD. In Illustrator, I have a bunch of different folders. We have blocks, and these are all different types of assets that you're probably going to be using in your digital drawings. And then we also have brushes and textures. I'm going to show you how to load these. And there's also some swatches. This is a really important file right here, this diagram swatches. If you open that up, it's going to show you a whole bunch of different assets that you can use in your digital drawings and just kind of like copy and paste them into your drawings so that you have somewhere to start when you're beginning in this course. So in this file, you will see these color swatches here. You'll see that it opens up a swatch palette here that has all of the swatches in the drawing already set into a palette. And don't worry if your workspace doesn't look like this right now. I'm going to show you how to set that up. But you can see that within this file there is a lot of information. We have different types of lines and arrows, different types of labels. I've explained a little bit about scale and line weights. There's some icons, symbols, a bunch of trees for use in plan, and then all of these swatches that you can use to fill in different information within your digital drawings. If this looks really strange or overwhelming right now, don't worry about it. We're going to cover that in more detail as we get more into digital drawing. But for now, all you need to do is just know that it's there in your folder and we can talk about it later. So if we go to layout, you'll see that I have included a PowerPoint presentation template. And this is something that you're allowed to use if you have no idea where to start with presentation. I do have a video on our last year's design media course about how to use this template. So maybe I'll post that into our tutorial playlist or send you a link to that. So when you do begin preparing digital presentations, then you know that there's a slideshow that you can use as a reference, and you don't have to worry about creating your own slideshows for digital presentations. So there's lots and lots of options for how to display drawings in here. That should cover pretty much all your bases throughout this semester as you're making digital presentations. Down in Photoshop, this is where the majority of the information is in this graphics folder. And Photoshop is one of the strongest tools we have in visualization, but also it's just something that kind of bridges between all of the different softwares that we use for landscape representation. So oftentimes we'll do line work in our CAD programs such as AutoCAD or Rhino. We'll export that and set the line weights. And then we will oftentimes use Photoshop to enliven the drawings we have, such as plans and sections, with photographic textures and assets. So within this folder, there are so many different things that you can look through. I'm not going to go through every single one, but there's basically cutouts for a whole bunch of different things. And you're going to get more familiar with these folders as we work this semester. I'll show you how to load some of these actions and brushes and patterns a little bit later in this tutorial. Finally, I have this folder called Planting. This is really just a technical folder. It has some information about planting standards, a database, a plant spacing calculator. You're not going to need to know any of this right away, but I thought I would include it because these are references that I use in my work, and they do end up being really helpful once you get into more of the technical side of planting design. That's probably not going to happen until your second semester, but nevertheless, you will know that these resources are here. And then finally, I have this PDF. This is the CSLA 2019 Landscape Architecture Compensation and Benefit Study. I thought that if you guys were interested in knowing what to expect once you graduate and once you begin working in the field, this document goes through and tells you salary expectations, what types of benefits people have in different provinces in Canada, and it's just really helpful information to have about the professional practice in this field. And this is also available, I think they do it every 2 years on the CSLA website. So that's something just for your own information to have.